I asked Brad to come up with a list of his top 5 most hated Dodgers of all time. And we're going to go back and forth. We'll start with 5 and we'll get to 1.
We're probably going to have some of the same.
I think we're going to have some of the same.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I hope this list isn't just 5 that we both put exactly the same. I have a feeling this list is going to be more like 7.
I also have some honorable mentions that we can discuss at the end of our 5 here. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
Yeah, I'll kick it off.
Okay.
I mean, and this one, if you're a Giants fan, this isn't a player. If you're a Giants fan, you pretty much grew up hating this guy. If you're of our age, right? You hated Tommy Lasorda more than anything. Anytime that guy walked out on the field, you boo him. Everybody would he'd wave at the crowd, blow kisses to the crowd. His spaghetti sauce all over his jersey.
Trip and fall.
Yeah,
tumble,
exactly. Roll over. That time, what did he? Which was it? The Fanatic that he got into it with one time in Philly. I can't remember exactly, but either way, Tommy Lasorda is my most hated because he always led the Dodger teams that had Mike Scioscia on it. And they were very frustrating to watch, frustrating to play against because they always tried to bully the Giants and the Giants fought back. So that was always fun. So he's definitely my number one. I didn't really do this in order, but I wanted to start with him because if I had a number one, he would be my number one.
Okay, so you're going 1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
I just went with my top one. Okay. The rest are totally interchangeable.
Okay, I'll start with my 5th because I did this in backwards order.
Okay, I didn't rank them. I wasn't really thinking about that, but I'll go to the bottom after this.
So. Okay, so I'll read you my dad's list because Lasorda was also on my dad's list. When I asked him, he said 5 Tommy Lasorda, 4 Steve Garvey, 3 Yasiel Puig, 2 Don Drysdale, and 1 Maury Wills. And I was like, why Maury Wills? And he said he ran us crazy. I hated when he got on base. The Giants watered down the base paths just to try and slow him down.
I did hear about that, yeah.
So that's his list. Okay, I'll start with number 5. Same era as your Lasorda pick.
Okay.
No real reason. Like in some cases, I hated the guy because they just were always good against the Giants. Sometimes it's like, gosh, I just hated seeing their face. And that's a little bit with this one is this guy was like not the greatest player ever. But when I started watching the Giants, I want to say he was their leadoff hitter and he seemed to always be on base. And I hated his face, Steve Sachs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was a frustrating guy to watch because, yes, he would get base hits when there was no way he was going to get a base hit. Ball outside, just off the plate, and he'd slap it into right field. And you're like, no, we had it, and there were 2 outs. We had him.
Yeah, Steve Sachs, and just the idea of, second baseman, and he's kind of like just randomly just get on base and he'll steal a bag. He's like a pest. Yes. It's kind of unfortunate because near the end of his career, he was more so like a guy who kind of lost it. Like, remember, he just could not throw to first base for some reason. Right. Like, just like but when I started playing, I was like, oh, this guy's so annoying. He's just always a thorn in our side. So Steve Sachs is my number 5. All right, who's next for you?
I like that. Well, let me look at my list. Let's see if I can make some sense of my list. I'd say, I can't put that guy's up there. I'm going to go with the last guy that snuck into my list. And this is going to be a little controversial for Giants fans. But the last guy on my list is Jeff Kent.
I was going to ask you about him.
Yeah. The fact that he jumped ship and went to the Dodgers and then had a lot of success with the Dodgers on some winning ball clubs, that really kind of chopped my hide a little bit because he broke his arm falling off the truck and all the other stuff. And then he goes to the Dodgers and does fantastic.
Yeah. I see. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, for some reason, I think he played well. And then I was looking at Baseball Reference because I was kind of going through all of the lineups. So I think he leaves the Giants in 2004.
Right.
And then
No,
he
in
goes,
'02, and
oh, no,
after
2?
'02, and then he goes to Houston for 2
Okay,
years.
he went to that. That's what it was. He went to
Yeah, yeah.
Houston first, and he shows up in LA in '05,
Right.
and they lost 91 games that year.
Right. But
And then
right, '06, '07, '08, those 3 years?
what?
The next years after that, 6, 7, and 8 when he's with them, didn't
Mhm.
weren't they good ball clubs?
I didn't really check the record, but I looked at his
Mm.
numbers. He was like almost a minus WAR player in some of those years
Oh,
as he got older. So my recollection is the same as yours, which is that he was like still a really good player. But then when I was looking at the numbers, I was like, wait, maybe I just misremembered this. And he was kind of like an old man who left the Giants at the right time.
maybe we just remembered that because we hated him so much. I
Yeah,
think that's
see, that's
probably
the thing is that even when he was on our team, he was not friends with Barry Bonds, which made us kind of side eye him unless he was an MVP, which he was one year.
well, and that's like, and I didn't put this guy on my list, and I don't want to ruin it, but like Manny Ramirez,
Mhm.
he's another guy. He went to the Dodgers. I don't think he played that well, and I don't think he did that well,
He
but we
also
just
got in
hated him.
trouble on the Dodgers, I
He
think.
did, yeah, quite a bit, and we just hated him because he went to the Dodgers. I
Yeah.
liked him before that because I
Yeah.
liked him with the Tribe.
Yep.
I liked him in Boston. I enjoyed watching his goofiness, and then he goes to the Dodgers. All of a sudden, I hated him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I
No,
think Jeff Kent would be my 5 of
okay.
pitchers.
No, it's a good one. He was on like my honorable mention list, but when I started to look into the numbers, I was like, oh man, maybe he wasn't as good as I remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm surprised.
Number 4 for me is going to be somebody that was on my dad's list and somebody who is number 1 for Madison Bumgarner, and that is Yasiel Puig. The problem with Puig and why I don't think he ranks higher on this list is he just was only good for like a little while. Like he didn't have like this longevity like
Right.
somebody else who's going to be on the a couple other guys who are going to be on my list. Like he was a thorn in our side for a short time. And there was some bench clearing stuff with him and Mad Bum, but and also
Yeah.
there was some instances where I was like, okay, Mad Bum, this was kind of your fault. It's kind of not Puig's fault. It's kind of your fault. But
Right.
you had to back your guy, and Puig was a prima donna, and Bumgarner could be a bit of a prima donna at times as well. But he's just very memorable as a guy that you wanted to dislike in the years the Giants were really good. You're like, yeah, that's the guy we want to beat. That's the guy whose face we want to put on the dartboard when we throw the darts. Like it's Yasiel Puig.
He was the catalyst for the hatred because we were winning ball games and we were winning championships. And then here comes this guy that you go, "Oh no. This guy has raw power. He looks like he can lift a school bus." And when he would hit the ball and leg out a double, you're like, man, this guy's got ridiculous speed too. So I think we were a little scared too because we're like,
Mhm.
is this guy going to be bugging the crap out of us
Well,
for the
we
next
we
like
thought he
15
might be
years?
like one of the best players in baseball for a long time, and it just didn't
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. So that's enough. And the fact that Mad Bum didn't like him was enough for us. I think.
Mhm.
I think that
Mhm.
was enough for us to say I don't like that guy.
Yep.
So he was on my list. So we'll skip to him. I'm gonna go with number 4 here. Actually, I'd probably put Puig number 4 also.
Okay.
So I'm jumping to number 3 now. My third on my list, Eric Gagne.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
on my honorable mention list for
yeah.
sure.
Did not like that guy. Anytime you got a Dodger reliever coming in and throwing 100 miles an hour, looking like a goofball with the glasses and the goofy half goatee, and then the time Bonds hit that mammoth shot off of him, kind of just soothed our souls for a little bit. But Gagne, just watching him all those years in the playoffs with the Dodgers, and coming in against us in the ninth inning because you knew secretly kind of the ball game was over at that point, and that's what was frustrating, and that was good enough reason to hate Eric Gagne right there.
The other reason why I didn't like him, and so this kind of comes out after the fact, but during this steroid era where all of these hitters were taking all of the responsibility
Yeah.
This dude is like increasing his miles per hour by like 8 or 9 miles per hour. And then the drug testing comes in, and then he's a nobody. And so you're like, wait a second. How come nobody cares about this guy?
Right.
And they only care about these hitters, and these guys are in baseball jail, and nobody cares about him. And so that was the thing where I was like, yeah, what a dirty rat that guy is. He kind of got out of there unscathed a little bit.
Oh yeah, and you look at his saves. What do you have? Three years in a row, 52 saves, 55 saves, and then 45 saves. That was 2002, 3, and 4. So that's when we were kind of battling to get back to the World Series after 2002. And then you got this guy, and it was hard to get past the Dodgers if they had a lead late in the ball game. Just couldn't stand that guy.
All right, so my next two are tied. They're tied for second. So these are my second and third. They are both pitchers, by the way. One of these guys, when the Dodgers were talking about having a LGBTQ night, he was like, "Hey,
oh, there you go.
How come we don't have like a Christian night? What's going on here?" And the other guy who he's tied with, and also, by the way, he always beats us. He was Brandon Belt's worst nightmare. And the other guy was not as successful of a Dodger as the previous was, but he was very hard on the Giants, and I just hated him because I just thought he was a giant dick. I don't know if he was a giant dick. I have no
You just assumed because he was wearing Dodger blue.
Maybe he's a nice guy. I just felt when he was on the mound, he was kind of just a jerk, and he was trying to rub it in on stuff. So tied for second, Kevin Brown and Clayton Kershaw.
There you go. Kevin Brown's another guy that got away with the whole steroid thing too. He all of a sudden started looking like Atlas, right? I mean, that guy had shoulders and lats, and I mean, God, he had all of a sudden the guy was yoked, and I think that's what killed his career too. He got too big.
Yes, he just like he was really good. It seemed like whenever he pitched against the Giants, he could throw a no-hitter at any time. And maybe he even threw a no-hitter against the Giants at one point.
He did. I was there. It was him.
Was he with the Rangers?
He was with the Marlins at the time.
Okay.
And it was Kevin Brown against Van Landingham. And they both had no-hitters going to the fifth. But I think Van Landingham had walked like 5 to that point.
Okay.
So it was like, we were like, Van Landingham's not going to get it. And we skipped it. We were in college, and we skipped a class at San Jose State just to go check out the ball game. So that had to be 97, 98.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So both those guys, Clayton Kershaw, awesome Hall of Famer. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't care for him at all. I really
I didn't even put him on my list because I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even think he was worthy of the list because we just don't like him.
You feel sad for him now because
I do. Yeah,
like 87 miles an hour.
Yeah. He's no Bumgarner in the playoffs. We know that.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
And then my number 2, right? Bear with me here. My number 2. He's not, when you talk about hated Dodgers, if you're a Giants fan and you say this name, you usually have to remember that he was on the team and what era it was.
Mm-hmm.
My number 2 is Mike Marshall.
That's an excellent one.
Yes.
That's an excellent one.
And you know why, right? You know why Mike Marshall is a hated Dodger if you're a Giants fan.
Wait, was there a fight?
There was a fight. It was the Take That game where he pointed and he hit a home run. So it was April 21st, 1987. I was staying at a relative's house. I think it was in Auburn, California. I was in this little tiny room. It was bedtime. I had the radio on. I was listening to KMBR, and I was just laying in bed listening to the game. It was late. It was an 8-8 ball game in the 10th inning. Roger Craig walks. So Scott Gerelt is on the mound. Roger Craig intentionally walks Pedro Guerrero to get to Mike Marshall. Second time in the game he's done that. First time it panned out for the Giants. This time Mike Marshall hits a 3-run jack to take an 11-8 lead in the 10th inning. As he's rounding the bases, he starts pointing at Roger Craig in the dugout saying, "Take that," and then points at Scott Greltz and says, "Take that." So Roger Craig comes out of the dugout. He's standing, he's pointing, yelling at him. Everything's, they kind of break up. Everybody goes back to the dugout. No bench is clear at this point. Next batter, Lou Trevino. Scott Greltz throws one like 8 feet over his head. He's trying to hit him. Totally misses him. It was 8 feet over his head. Bench is clear.
Maybe his glasses were fogged up because he was so excited.
The wind knocked him off. Yeah. Pedro Guerrero comes running out. They have to hold him back. That was the first. So that was 87. I was 14 years old. I already knew to hate Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah.
I knew to hate Mike Scioscia, those guys. But that was my first real, like, oh man, now I got a target on this guy's back.
Oh yeah.
I don't like. And Mike Marshall was dubbed as soft.
Yeah.
Like the rest of his career, because I think he asked Lasorda to be sat down for a ball game because of general soreness.
Okay, so I love that story, and I'm glad that you reminded me about that story.
Yeah.
Mike Marshall wasn't necessarily on my list, but it was more because I just didn't think he was that good. Like he was kind of like his name, he was a very memorable name. But then when you look at his overall career, you're like, yeah, he was solid. But that's the reason why
that's enough to hate. That's enough to hate. You point at Roger Craig and say, "Take that," when you're rounding the bases in 1987. Even now, that's a problem. But in 1987, that was a huge problem in a rivalry game too.
Yeah, maybe that's why the Giants won the division. That was the inspiration.
That could be it.
All right, go ahead and give your number one.
Well, it was Tommy Lasorda.
Oh yeah, Tommy Lasorda. Sorry, forgot.
Yeah, that was my 5. Yeah.
Okay, so my number one, and this probably solely has to do with the year of 1993. Dodgers had a 30-some-odd round draft pick who was son of a friend of Tommy Lasorda or a Dodger scout or something, and he comes out and he's got the long hair in the back, and catcher can't really do much behind the plate, but just is bashing baseballs as a rookie. It's like 30 jacks.
The ladies loved him.
The ladies love him.
Fu Manchu.
And Giants are competing with the Braves for the division title. There's no wild card at this point in 1993. The Braves have beat the Colorado Rockies. I don't think the Rockies, who were the expansion team, lost to the Braves one time that year. Giants needed to win, I believe, to force a playoff of some way. And they just get smoked by the Dodgers. I feel like Mike Piazza hit like 25 home runs that game. Maybe it's just one. It was a
12-1 game.
It was just
so. It's possible. It's possible he hit 12 home runs.
And the Giants fans relish of times where we've knocked the Dodgers out of playoff spots. So I'm sure the Dodgers relish the opportunity to knock the Giants out of playoff spots. But from that day on, I was like, I hate this guy. I will never like this guy. And now here's another reason related to the steroid thing. I'm not saying that Mike Piazza was on steroids. He was sort of the same size throughout his entire career. Yeah. But who's saying that he didn't dabble before 1993, because the steroid stuff was very, very relevant in the late 80s. Again, I don't want to point the finger at that guy. I don't have a problem, except nobody ever suggests that he could possibly have been one of those guys, because supposedly he was just like a nice guy. I guess he was just like a cool guy. Like that's the reason why no one thinks that, and he gets in the Hall of Fame. Nobody cares. So that's just added fuel to the fire for me. Even though, a lot of his good seasons were also with the Mets. It wasn't only with the Dodgers, but that 1993 season, forever, I was like, you know what? My team lost. I can't be that poor of a sport. They needed to win that game. But you know what I can do? I can hate this guy for the rest of my life. So Mike Piazza, what did Pete Franklin used to do? Flush that bum. If we had, I wish I had a flushing sound. I'd flush on Mike Piazza right now.
Well, Piazza did admit to using Andro. So he did use it up until 98 when somebody discovered it in McGuire's locker, and then he's like, oh. I guess it's illegal. Maybe it's not. I don't know, but I should stop. But he did admit, I think, to Jim Rome that he did Andro. So
Oh God, that makes me hate
even
him
more
more.
reason to hate the guy.
I want to hate him. I hate him right now, like just as much as 1993. And I haven't seen this dude on a baseball field in like 10 years.
So when you're playing the show and his card comes up, and
He
it's like
sucks.
A
I
93
can't hit
over, I
him
know,
for
it's terrible.
anything.
Yeah, he's a rough card. Yeah, everybody used to love. I love the Johnny Bench catcher card. That's the card that
I can't. I have a problem just hitting with right-handed hitters in general, so it's a hard
Yeah.
one. Okay, a couple of guys that were on my honorable mention. Now this is more just kind of one-offs more than anything else. Steve Finley, you remember Steve Finley had a game against
I
us.
remember the home run. I
The
do.
home run. I was really bummed
Dustin
about that.
Hermanson, right?
And didn't Steve Finley come and try and play for us for like a year
He
and
did.
just terrible?
Yeah,
Just
that was the home
awful.
run off of Dustin Hermanson. 04?
I think.
Yeah,
I
because
think
we
you're
were
right.
we were still fighting for a playoff. So
Yeah.
02 World Series,
03, they won 100 games. They lost to
300
Marlins.
and 04 we were battling. It was kind of, it was a tight battle there at the end. So
Another person, Matt Kemp. He wasn't truly hateable because I kind of thought he was kind of like a cool dude. Like he seemed like he was a cool guy.
Yeah.
And he was not. He was like Puig in that he was good for a short span of time, but he didn't have the longevity. But I just thought, I was like, this guy's kind of cool. I just wish he wasn't on the Dodgers.
Yeah, exactly. I felt that way. And I felt that way about this guy too. And even when he went to the Padres, I was like, I would like him if he wasn't on the Dodgers or the Padres. But Adrian Gonzales, he's another guy who would hit home runs, key home runs at key moments. And you're like, good God, can somebody get this guy out?
Yeah. Another guy who was kind of, I wouldn't call him a great player, but he just kind of, when you saw him, you're just like, oh, he's a Dodger. I don't like this guy. Justin Turner.
Yes.
Justin Turner, definitely. Even though he's
the
played on
Muppet.
other teams, you just see him as a Dodger, and you just like,
Yeah.
I don't like that guy.
Yeah, I think Denise said he looks like a Muppet.
My buddy Draven, who I may do the show with this week, he said he thought Max Muncy should be on that list, and I was like, yeah, he kills the Giants, but like, I don't. What has he done like to make me mad at him? Nothing yet. Really.
He killed Bumgarner.
Yeah.
That was kind of it. It wasn't much to Muncy.
Now, this player is maybe my most hated player of all time, but he was not very good on the Dodgers, so he didn't make my list. But if he made my most hated players of all time, he would be number one, and that is Chase Utley.
Oh, God, yeah. Chase.
When Jonathan Sanchez and Chase Utley were like kind of doing their thing in the NLCS, I wanted to jump on the field and help out Jonathan Sanchez. I hate.
You were ready,
so much. Yeah.
And didn't he hit him? No. Who did he? Somebody hit Utley. What was the game? And then Eli Whiteside came hopping out of the crouch. He started bouncing around the field. I want to say it was either Utley or Victorino. I can't remember.
Yeah, those teams didn't like each other.
No. And then he goes, because then of all things, then Utley goes to the Dodgers, and we're like, well, we already hate you.
Yeah, just perfect.
What are you doing that for?
Great, love it. You suck.
What about
check you out?
Here's a name that's another controversial one. That's a tough call. But what about Brett Butler?
He was hanging there, and I will say, my love for that 1989 team kind of makes him going to the Dodgers less hurtful.
Yeah,
because he did leave the Giants saying, "Oh, when I was a kid, I always wanted to play for the Dodgers," and I was like, exactly. You're just kissing butt to that fan base. Who knows if that was really the case? But yeah, I thought about that too. I thought about him, and I was like, but I love that that 89 team way too much to have him on a hated list. Whereas I was fine with your pick of Jeff Kent.
yeah, that one's all right. That one's all right. I was there opening day when Brett Butler came out, 91, and they were introducing the teams, and he came out Candlestick and hugged Tommy Lasorda. The crowd just, I mean, it was like, it was WWE. It was heel. I mean, it was like big time, and everybody just went nuts.
That's
I mean, the
awesome.
booing place erupted when he did that. Right at home plate, just gave him a big hug.
I mean, we could have added someone like Kevin Elster, who hits 3 jacks in the debut of Pac Bell Park, but
we won the division that year, so it's like,
we're like,
good for Kevin Elster.
Yeah, you made everyone think that it was going to be a hitter's park when it was actually the opposite.
Exactly. Yeah.